Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about 17's dog Fear, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of both the lyrics and the music video. In order to understand what the song is about, the first thing we need to do is to focus on the title itself, which is comprised of the Korean word dog and the English word fear. In Korean, dog means poison, and the column that separates it from fear implies that the concept focuses on the toxic nature of fear as something that holds us back and makes us helpless. In the statement featured in the description of the music video, the company stated that 17's intention here is to explore the fear they face in the creative process and the agony they have to endure in order to improve themselves as artists. And the video conveys these ideas by employing symbolic scenarios that show us their perspective on this powerful emotion. There's a lot to unpack here, because the imagery they used shows us both different types of fear and the underlying sense of anxiety and struggle they have to face as self-producing idols. The video opens with a shot of Wonho in front of blue fabric. This could be a representation of thalassophobia, the fear of the sea, but I think that the color here is what we should pay attention to the most. Blue is a color that conveys many feelings. It can mean sadness, tranquility, or calm, but most importantly, it's a color that symbolizes memory, which is something explicitly mentioned at the beginning of the song. At the beginning, 17 expresses the wish to be forgotten because they are poison. This line is mirrored by Wonho being engulfed by the darkness, thus confirming that in the video the color blue represents memory. This is something that will be important later, but let's not jump ahead of ourselves. After Wonho, we see a series of fast shots, among which we see a beetle. Now, the beetle is an interesting choice that could convey different meanings. On the one hand, it can symbolize entomophobia, which is the fear of insects, but on the other, it can represent transformation. In the novella The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, the protagonist wakes up one day and finds himself transformed into a beetle. In the story, Kafka uses this metamorphosis as a way to explore the themes of identity loss and social isolation. And I think that in the song, the beetle is employed in a similar fashion. As idols, 17 have to constantly transform themselves in order to meet the standards they are required to reach. They are isolated and have to deal with the constant expectations of the public. This is something that on the long run may cause a loss of identity, or at the very least a sense of inadequacy that stems from the idea that idols have to be perfect at all times. I think that the fact that the beetle shot is followed by the shot of Joshua surrounded by glitter kinda makes it even more evident. Joshua here looks unreal, and this shows us how much they have to transform themselves in order to do their job. The beetle is also covered in plastic, which implies that the metamorphosis they have to endure is artificial and constraining, something also evident in the scenes focused on Jonghan wearing lipstick and Oshi with tattoos. Much like the beetle, these scenes can be interpreted in many ways. The makeup can represent maculophobia, which is an anxiety disorder linked to wearing cosmetics, but I think that in this case, the makeup and tattoos are meant to reinforce the theme of transformation already introduced at the beginning. While makeup is something that can be worn but also taken off, the tattoos are permanent, thus implying that the metamorphosis they have to face may look temporary but has permanent consequences on both your body and your mind. This is something that is also explored in the shots of Sungkwan, DK, and June, which are all centered around the duality of the artist we see on screen. Sungkwan looks at himself in a mirror shard, which is a symbol of truth and identity. Truth is an important theme within the lyrics, and the members talk about it as something that is both elusive and bounding. If on the one hand truth is what reminds them of their true identity and original purpose, on the other fear distorts the truth by turning it into lies. This part here is very important because if we look at these lines in the context of their artistic process, 17 is saying that while they try to be sincere with their music, the constant expectation surrounding it makes them fearful of disappointing their audience. From fear come lies, and lies are the exact opposite of what they want to show. The contradictory nature of art as a medium of self-expression is also evident in the shots of DK and June. DK is wearing a black mask, thus symbolizing the transformative aspect of fear as something that affects your identity, while June is standing behind a picture of himself, which is a shot that perfectly conveys the duality of truth versus lie and person versus idol. This dichotomy implies confusion and constant change, and this is important because in the lyrics they say that they are afraid of change, which makes sense because change is something out of their control in this scenario. The change they are singing about comes from fear, and fear makes them helpless. It poisons them and affects their thinking and behavior, which is something that pushes them into isolation, another theme of the track. In the lyrics, they ask to be left alone, to stay away from them, as if they are a danger to those around them. But in the video, isolation is also seen as a source of fear and anxiety. This is evident by the shots of Vernon surrounded by empty chairs, a scene that implies that the artistic process can also be an isolating one. 17 here are exploring the dark side of artistic expression. Music is the medium they use to communicate with you, but when fear affects the creative process, the message that is delivered can be a lie no matter how hard they try to be honest. Art is seen as both something they love and as a source of anxiety, something that makes them immortal but also makes them forget themselves, something that makes them feel free and trapped at the same time, and the video shows this in several scenarios. At the beginning, we see a set that looks like a giant bomb. In the background, we see a countdown that ends in the second half of the song, and the lyrics that anticipate the scene state that nothing is forever. The song continues by saying that they want to give you everything you want, but this desire is expressed with a sense of urgency conveyed through the countdown. The anxiety here comes from the time limitations of their job. They want to do their best, but they also realize that they won't be around forever, that their time is limited and change is inevitable and uncontrollable. Another set that deals with this idea is the one with the wrecked car, which could symbolize this sticky phobia, the fear of accidents. I think that this part may be a reference to the recent injury suffered by Songwen, which is something that not only affected him personally, but the other members as well. Another interesting set is the one with the sun in the background. This setting is used with several members and in different ways, but I think that on a general level it symbolizes the spotlight they are constantly in. If you look closely, there is a small stage in front of it, but as the video goes on, light gets dimmer, it starts snowing, and the blue curtains that surround it cover it almost completely. Much like the fabric at the beginning, the blue curtain may symbolize their fear of being forgotten, while the snow mirrors the cold truth they hide behind the scenes. A similar scenario is the one with the microphones and Dino performing on stage. The lighting here is warm as well, thus signifying the positive aspects of success. But in the background, the flowers are rotten, thus showing that the dark side of their job is always there. What is interesting about this scene is that while Dino performs, S.coups is watching him as if he's part of the audience. This detail is very telling because it shows you that the fear and anxiety they suffer from not only comes from the outside world, but from themselves as well. They are the first ones who put pressure on themselves to deliver something worthwhile, and they recognize that while being unable to do anything about it. This is so because even if everything turns grey, the love for their craft is what keeps them going. In the video, there's a heavy focus on neutral colors, meaning that fear tends to mute the other emotions. But they also put attention on blue, yellow and red. If blue is memory and yellow is success, red is the symbol of the love they feel for their art and their audience, but also the danger it implies. The video ends with a shot that is very similar to the very first one. This time, however, the lighting is brighter and white sparkles surround Wonu's body. This may imply that by recognizing the power fear has over them, they eventually found a way to control it. As the lyrics say, love consumes them completely. It's dangerous, yes, but also strong enough to overcome fear. So that's it for me today. This was a tough one, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did or have any requests for future videos, please let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of fear? If you have time, please think about liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!